So hi everyone, once again. This side Dhruv here, this side from BizData. I lead the investment management at BizData. Today we have Pranav with us, who is the founder of Medulance. He will be presenting his startup to us today. And after the presentation, we'll have a Q&A with Pranav, where you can ask your queries. Whatever the questions you have for Pranav, you can put it up into the chat bot, and I'll take that from there. Or else, if you want to ask the questions live, you can also raise your hand. I'll unmute you, and you can ask your query there also. So, yes, Pranav, over to you.
Perfect.
You
Yeah.
can take it ahead. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Pranav Bajaj, co-founder and CEO of Medulance. I would just like to start by asking a question, making a statement. Have you ever seen an ambulance stuck in traffic? Did you ever wonder if the patient inside the ambulance reached the hospital on time or if the ambulance reached the patient on time? Another thing I would like to say is, how much do you think a minute is? Not much, right? Sometimes we spend it and not even realize it. However, time is very essential in the industry that we function in, that is emergency response services. Hi, everyone. I'm introducing Medulance. We are a company in the emergency response space focused around medical transportation, ambulatory care services. I would just like to give you some backdrop. We started back in 2017. The idea was very simple at that time. Um, with a motto of help should be given when it matters the most. I started my career working at Zomato back in 2012. I was leading the company's business development activities in the Delhi NCR region up till 2015. And that's when I met Ravjot, my co-founder, who had suffered a personal loss in his family due to the unavailability of an ambulance service. And that's when we realized that, it's important to look into this problem. And once we started deep diving, we realized that the problem is huge. We started taking baby steps by activating Google alerts, getting issues that used to get populated all over the country, not only in Delhi metro cities, but even in tier two, tier three cities on a day-to-day basis. These were actually published articles that were coming in the national dailies or other media. And we realized that the problem is huge. By that time, platforms like Ola and Uber had already come and taken advantage of something as simple as geolocation, proliferation of smartphones. We thought, why can't we couple this with digitization in the healthcare space to shave minutes of the response time in an industry where time was much more relevant? And that's what I would say led to the birth of Medulance in 2017. Uh, Today, our mission is to ensure that help should be given when it matters the most, and we have a vision to ensure that we want to make emergency response and pre-hospital care universally accessible and affordable. We really hold very dear to us values of innovation, integrity, accountability, and quality and excellence. And today have been working in this space for the last 8 years. I would also like to help you understand what we've been doing in the emergency response space via the presentation today. These are just some statistics to make you understand how big the problem is in India. The industry is quite unreliable, unresponsive, unregulated. Not only, there is a problem with enough equipped ambulances on the road. Um, you know, I would say when we started, people used to think an ambulance is more like a patient transport vehicle or used to transport only dead patients. I would say that needs to evolve into ambulances becoming life-saving vehicles. So we need to improve the number of emergency response vehicles, especially advanced life support, basic life support ambulances on the ground. And, we've already laid the foundation for doing that. We also have just some problem statements for you that only 7% of 27,000 National Health Mission ambulances are advanced life support. These are ambulances that are being run by the government. Only 2% of the people in India know how to give CPR. We're actively working today on this problem via the Medulance Healthcare Academy. 85%, private ambulances like proper technology, and 41 to 45 minutes was the response time, I would say. It's not only in rural areas, but it's also today in metro cities due to growing traffic conditions, road conditions. And, we found a solution to that, which I'm going to talk about. This is just to give you an idea about our journey from running a bootstrap company right from 2017. I want to talk about something, when we started, we looked at aggregating ambulances in the city of Delhi. We checked these ambulances for registration certificates, drivers having commercial licenses, drivers having the right licenses, paramedics having the right basic advanced life support certification to onboard a fleet of about 350 ambulances in the city of Delhi when we started. We serviced about 2,000 patients in the first 6 months of starting such a service. These were requests either coming from the internet or from hospitals that we partnered with. What we realized was that if you're able to dispatch the closest possible ambulance to your location, we are able to solve for the problem of response time. However, it's very important to ensure that, the ambulances are well equipped. There is enough standardization to ensure that one ambulance quality matches the other, and we laid the groundwork for doing that. However, there were challenges also that we faced, especially from a B2C point of view, because this is not a service you need every day. You might need an ambulance tomorrow, you might not need in the next few years. So any effort that I do to market my service to you today, just from a business point of view, might not come back to me. And even if you end up using my service or an emergency response service, you might not need it on a recurring basis. So the general customer acquisition lifetime value model slightly doesn't work in this industry from a business point of view. So we realized that within the first 6 months. However, it was very important to keep working on the impact of why we started. So we slightly pivoted to a B2B model wherein we started working with commercial residential facilities to start with our first partnership with, I would say, facility managers like JLL, Cushman Wakefield, CBRE to park our ambulances from for a dedicated audience. This service actually allowed us to learn more about the emergency response process, because before this we were just aggregating. Now we were managing the entire module on our own, right from drivers, paramedics, pre-hospital care, because the entire service was being managed end to end by Medulance. Today, this service has evolved into one of our key product lines that we call as Medu ERS, and we have activated more than 255 systems across the country. Then we launched a hospital business as well, okay, which is growing. 2020, COVID hit, it brought the vulnerabilities in the healthcare system, gave us an opportunity to work with the government as well. We launched various other product lines, and we that I'm going to talk about in detail. We were running a bootstrap company up till 2023, then raised our first round of investment and are on track to keep increasing our impact in the emergency response space today. This is just to give you a quick idea about the market potential in the emergency response space. The industry is more than, I would say, a $2 billion industry in terms of the total addressable market. About $1.6 billion from the public-private partnership model, managed completely by the government, which includes ambulances run by state governments, national highways, National Health Mission, about 96 million on the occupational health center front, and about 491 million on the corporate and hospital business as well. Today, the government programs, health awareness, urbanization, and the electrification of ambulances, which should start, I would say, in the next 12 to 15 months. We've already speaking to the government to lay the foundation, are going to be the levers for market expansion here. We are also going to be ensuring that we lay the groundwork for expanding our enterprise and the hospital business with increasing awareness in the space. This is to give you an idea about the various verticals that we have as a part of our product line. So the first one is Medu ERS. Today, Medulance works at about 250 plus locations for such a service. We park our ambulances for a dedicated audience. Because the ambulance is stationed, we can provide a response time of less than 5 minutes within the facility and about 10 to 12 minutes to the hospital via such a service. We have drivers and paramedics working on shifts. We share data with the hospital. We actually used to do this in the forms of manual paper by recording oxygen, sugar levels, other patient vitals, so that the hospital receives this information. They're more prepared about the incoming patient. This has moved into a technology platform wherein we've launched a 5G ambulance today that I'm going to talk about. What we also realized via the Medu ERS service, which today is being used by entities like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, HCL, public sector unit companies like NTPC, Coal India, SECL. Also, I would say by the government of Delhi today, we realize that not everyone is going to park an ambulance for their facility. Imagine you are a enterprise or a corporate with about 500 employees. It might not make sense for you to park an ambulance. So what we did was we started activating clinics, which are medical rooms, wherein we have our doctors and paramedics who are stationed out of these medical rooms to provide basic life support, first aid within the facility itself, and then are responsible for activating the emergency response as and when required. Today, we run clinics across the industry for companies like Shriram Pistons, Praj Industries, HCL, to name a few, Flipkart as some of our clients in the MeduClinic space. Again, our basic impact right from the beginning was to solve for top of mind recall so that people know who to reach out to when help is needed. Via the Medu ERS and the clinic service, we were at least able to contribute to workplace safety, both from a commercial, residential aspect, and solve for recall. But what we realized was that what happens when the same audience leaves the facility? So we launched a service called Medulance, which we call as your anytime emergency assistant, wherein today we activate a dedicated helpline for your organization. Um, it works in a simple manner. To give you a quick example of this, by a company called HCL, we park ambulances at about 20 plus locations across HCL offices. Then we have clinics within these facilities as well. Then more than 4.5 lakh people within HCL and plus two dependents, which is their family members, have access to a dedicated number to call to, irrespective of location and time, in more than 50 cities in the country. Today, we provide assistance to them via a helpline number, and at the back end, we've aggregated a fleet of about 10,000 plus ambulances in more than 50 cities in the country to provide an emergency response time of about 20 to 25 minutes in metro cities and about 40 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes in tier 2, tier 3 cities today. We also have added more value-added services in the forms of emergency teleconsultation. I would say we are the first company to provide emergency teleconsultation on call within minutes. You can speak to a doctor who ensures that they provide first aid communication till the ambulance reaches. Um, so this allowed us to cater to a 360-degree model, at least on the B2B segment. Today, Medulert, I'll tell you how this product is going to evolve, has already started to integrate with insurance companies. We've started partnerships with ICICI Lombard, looking at integrating this with insurance to capture a bigger audience so that we can solve for top of mind recall. On the technology front, this service is already being integrated with home security solutions, IoT devices, connected cars, um, I would say applications with huge consumer bases today to ensure that people know that they can reach out to us anytime to get quick and reliable assistance. Then Medio Train. So we realized that training is a big problem when it comes to emergency response. So we've launched our own Medulance Healthcare Academy today. However, we used to work with St. John's Ambulance, Red Cross Society. That's how our learning happened back in the day, to ensure that we can not only provide assistance to blue and white collared workers working on the enterprise front, but also start a training program for more than 900 drivers and paramedics that we have on our payroll today, which are only going to keep increasing while we expand our services. Medutech is a platform where Medulance today runs its own proprietary software. We use this software to dispatch ambulances across the board. We've also launched the 5G smart ambulance as a part of this initiative. We've not only launched the technology for us, we also license this technology to hospitals today, as well as the government. The Delhi government dispatches more than 350 ambulances and answers to about more than 5,000 calls on a daily basis via the technology that they've licensed from Medulance exclusively, and that's a separate product line that we have today. MediWedge is, we were not focused on the hospital business that much because we wanted to get more expertise in the emergency response space. Over the last 7 years, while we ensured that we showed, I would say, good progress with the corporate enterprise business, as well as launching a full-fledged public-private partnership with the government of Delhi, for whom we are not only managing the tech, but also about 90 ambulances end to end, right from drivers, paramedics to equipment checks are all being managed by Medulance today for the government of Delhi. We feel this is the right time to launch the hospital business. I would talk about this. We are very bullish of this space. I would say in the next 5 years, more than 95% of the hospitals would outsource their ambulance services to a reliable company in the emergency response space. These are just some of the licenses and accreditations that we've received at Medulance. Being in this space, it always is very good to maintain the right, ISO standards, data security protocols, licensing across the board. And we've already laid the foundation for the QA accreditation, which is being provided by the Ministry of Transport today as a part of medical transportation services, and also the JCI accreditation, which we are on track to get in the next 10 to 12 months. Just to quickly summarize our team, it includes me, my co-founder of Jyoth, and Yashraj, who comes in with huge experience from Byju's, as well as Red Health, which is a company in the emergency response space. Some of the rewards and recognitions that we get, something we are really proud of, is the National Startup Award that we received from the Government of India in 2022. Quick, financial outlook. We did a revenue about 61 crores last year. I would say we are on track to reach a similar revenue, but we've already taken a few hard decisions last year. So we were running a contract with the government of Delhi for about 140 ambulances. I would say that that contract was not making money at a gross margin level, so we let go of about 3 crore rupees of revenue last year, which was a strategic decision taken by us to ensure that we can bring in more efficiency and growth into our business and also ensure that we are looking at contracts via pricing committee properly. So we are on track to reach a revenue about 61, 62 crores even this year, but we have changed our gross margin profile completely. We have reduced our cash loss. As of last month, the cash loss of our company was about 25 lakhs. Currently, we are on track to reach a gross margin profile about 28% and an EBITDA of about close to 10% by the end of this year. We also we have ambitions to reach a revenue about close to 200 crores by FY 2027-28, with a gross margin profile about 37% and an EBITDA profile about 24%. On the revenue front, I want to just quickly show you some split. The government revenue was actually much higher as of last year. So as you can see, we've laid down efforts in July to ensure that our revenue is now coming from various segments. Also, the enterprise revenue as a whole, because it includes ERS, MeduH, MeduClinic, MeduTech, which is the private business that we have, and Medu ERS, where you see a G, is the government business that we have. So as of July, our enterprise business has finally, I would say, taken over the government business. And even though Medulance as an organization has built eligibility to work with governments, I would want to proudly say that we are one of the only new age companies today that has built eligibility to build for state run contracts. We are always going to be cautious in ensuring we get these contracts at the right price as and when we acquire them. This is to give you an idea about the unit economics in the emergency response space across our product lines. Medu ERS, which is a station ambulance service, has an average ticket price of about 1.3 lakh rupees a month with a 20 to 30% margin on the services. Medu Alert has an average ticket price about 10,000 rupees a month with a 70 to 80% margin, because via running one call center and a tech platform today to dispatch ambulances, we can provide the on-demand services in the next 5 years to more than 1,000 companies on the platform, and that's what we want to achieve. MeduClinic has an average ticket price of about 80,000 rupees a month with a 20 to 30% margin. On the hospital business, there are two product lines. One is where we get a fixed uh, uh, price subscription per month, which is a 20 to 30% margin. And then via the MeduRide vertical, we also can get access to variable revenue from the hospital as well, which is an on-demand revenue at about 2,000 rupees per ambulance ride and has a 10 to 20% margin on it. Medu government has a slightly higher ticket size, about 2 lakh rupees a month per ambulance. And about 20 to 30% margin on, I would say, that particular product line. Some of the key takeaways that I want to mention is MeduAlert is something we are very bullish about. We believe that this service can be subscribed upon by more than 1,000 companies in the next 3 years. We're further going to integrate, as I said, this with insurance brokers to increase the market size for our services. Simultaneously, we will work with on the hospital business to ensure we can create the right kind of ecosystem, managing ambulances for the hospital, ensuring our subscribers get access to the hospital's clinicians in the fastest possible manner. And that's how the entire ecosystem is going to come together. By parking ambulances at more and more commercial residential facilities, we are going to ensure that we are already attracting the captive audience by already having our assets placed there to ensure quick and reliable help to the clinician, which is the hospital in that case. These are the key customer segments that we have that I've been talking about. Some of our top clients: NTPC, HCL, Morgan Stanley, Government of Delhi, HSBC, Narayana Health are some of the hospitals, as I said, we work with. Today, we have more than 110 clients on our platform, spread across corporates, government, PSUs, hospitals, educational institutions, industrial units, and commercial hubs as well. So, the 5G smart ambulance, I want to just spend a minute to talk about it. This is an ambulance that allows us today to relay patient data directly from the ambulance to the emergency rooms of hospital. We actually launched this about 2 years back in the India Mobile Congress, inaugurated by the Prime Minister, um, in collaboration with Reliance Jio. It was more of a concept at that time. Today, that ambulance is not a concept; it's being used by hospitals to pick up patients. The emergency rooms of hospitals today get data directly from these ambulances, patient vitals, their oxygen, sugar levels, data from the ventilator, defibrillator if needed, real time, and they can give more life-saving instructions to the paramedic while the ambulance is in transit. This is going to be one of our key drivers to keep driving impact both on the private and the hospital business. As I said, quality and compliance is something which is very important in this space, especially when you're dealing with lives. And I believe that we need to keep working on that part to ensure that we can drive impact. We are going to ensure that all our ecosystem services, Medu ERS, Medu H, Medu Alert, and Medu Train come together to actually ensure that Medulance becomes a leading player in the emergency response space. We've already laid the groundwork, as I said, from a training point of view by you can see this is a photo of the world record we created with Zomato by training 4,300 delivery partners at one venue. This set the tone for the Medulance Healthcare Academy, which is going to be training more than about 10 lakh people in the next 5 years via the academy itself. This is a hospital business that we recently launched, and that's why we put a slide for this. We weren't focusing on the hospital, but I would say a lot of our competition has been focusing on this vertical. We took some time, but we found great headway in only 4 months of launching this vertical. Today, at the back of the 5G ambulance, as you can see, which is equipped with CCTV cameras, a communication system. The doctor's advice actually is recorded via this technology in the forms of clinical notes. So we can record the advice he's given to the paramedic in the forms of any injections, any procedure that he suggested, so that it saves us both from a legal aspect, also maintains complete transparency from a clinical point of view. Um, Also, today we found quick headway via this technology to work with hospitals like Narayana, Saroj, Artemis, KIMS, Super Health, and we've just closed Medanta in Noida last 2 days back. We'll be managing end-to-end services for the hospitals. We manage it either via having our own ambulances or managing the hospital ambulances, and then getting complete exclusivity to the inbound, outbound revenue, which is also going to be managed by us. We also have applications and technology which allow us to manage a fleet management system, applications for audit protocols, attendance systems, other modules, which, because being an operations heavy business, it was very important for us to integrate our tech into our own operations to make it more efficient as well. This is just to give you an idea about how we see our go-to-market strategy, right from focus on the hospital vertical to strengthening our business development team across verticals. We already feel that we've laid the foundation across categories. So it's the right time for us to now start scaling this service to other cities, which is a product of the number of people that we'll have. Um, we want to leverage MeduTech both in the hospital and the government business. We want to ensure that our tech is being used by more and more state governments as well to dispatch ambulances, because that product line is extremely profitable, and it allows us to get access to a huge amount of data, which is lacking, I would say, in the emergency response space today. We are looking at geographical expansion already. We want to have our offices in at least 4 metro cities and also expand to tier 2, tier 3 cities at the back of our 5G ambulance, because initially we thought the relevance of the 5G smart ambulance is going to be more in tier 2, tier 3 cities where the closest hospital is about 120 to 150 minutes away. However, due to growing traffic conditions, response time actually getting slower because of issues which are not in our control in metro cities, we've already seen huge headway with the 5G smart ambulance. Focus on government relations. As I said, we've already laid the groundwork for becoming eligible to bid for contracts. Now it's on us to choose the state government that we want to work with. We are not going to go for huge governments. We are not going to increase the risk via this vertical, but ensure it adds both to the bottom line as well as our revenue over the next few years. This is an indicative landscape of how our competition profile links. I would say that Red Health is one of our key competitors in the space. They've been there since 2016 in the market. They've raised about $60 million in funding till now. They are heavily focused on the hospital business, I would say. And Zikitsa is a company which is focused on the government business, has about 600 crores of annual revenue. About 95% of this comes from the B2G vertical. Dial 4242 is a growing player based out of Mumbai who's raised about 9 crores of funding from the Indian Angel Network last month. I would say Medulance, even though we are not leading in terms of revenue and scale currently, we are rightly poised with our enterprise hospital and the B2G mix, which today I would say does not exist as a profile for our competition in the market. And of course, we need to take advantage of the opportunities that we've got, simultaneously also ensuring that, we keep working on the quality front, standardization front across the market. One thing I would like to point out that some of these companies that you see on your screen are very similar. Yet I would say, being in this space, how culture today also comes in and differentiates us. And I would say that's also a key differentiator, which is going to enable us to drive impact faster than the others in the emergency response space. As I told you, we were running a bootstrap company for initially 7 years, then raised our first round of funding in April of last year, led by Alchemy Growth Capital and Dipinder Goyal from Zomato. We also had gone on Shark Tank and, have Aman Gupta, Namita Thapar as some of our investors, including Dexter Capital. Um, we today, as a part of that round, raised a total of about $3 million, which went into team expansion, asset purchases, technical expenses, and marketing expense. And right now are looking at raising a bridge round of about $3.5 million today. We already have commitments. Evanshul, you can move to the next slide if you want. We already have commitments of about 20 crores as a part of this round, excluding biz data. And we are looking at raising $3.5 million, which is going to be spent across categories. And I'll tell you the reason for raising this bridge round as well. You know, uh, as a growing company, we realized that few things did not go our way, and there were some things that we learned also as a part of our growing emergency response business. And at the back of those learnings, we realized that it's always very important to ensure that we raise money at the right time. And we found momentum in the hospital business, which takes time to become profitable. It takes about 3 to 4 months, needs money for execution. We found momentum in the enterprise space. Yes, we gave up on revenue on the government segment, but that's going to contribute our learnings, I would say, for the next 5 years. And I would say that happened very early. And also, like any other company, it's very important to ensure that we always have sufficient cash in the bank. And this raise is going to be sufficient for us till 2027-28, when we, I would say, are going to be raising our Series B of about $8 million as a part of that round. Right now, we are looking at diversification into the focus on the enterprise hospital business, picking up government contracts, which are directly, I would say, being handpicked and chosen by us, which meets our requirements in terms of executing. I would talk about some states we've chosen for us, states like Uttarakhand and Meghalaya, where you can run an ambulance about 100 to 120 ambulances, right up our execution capabilities as well. Does not involve that much risk for us. We also want to launch an air ambulance space. We've learned a lot, I would say, in the last few years, that this space requires you to ensure that you have the assets and the medical team completely under your control. There are a lot of aggregators in this space. Also, we need to bring down the average ticket size for this service, which is very high and actually makes it unaffordable for a lot of people. Hence, no one has been able to scale this service, I would say, and provide the right quality. So we want to ensure we do it the right way. And that's part of our plan. By 2028, I would say Medulance will be on track to also take our experience with the hospital business, governments to Southeast Asian countries. And, I would say that's some of our focus areas for growth. Happy to answer any questions that people might have.
Thank you so much, Pranav, for this wonderful presentation. So yes, I'm opening the floor for the questions to all the investors. So you can just put up your all the questions into the chat bot, or you can raise your hand. So we can unmute you and you can ask your queries.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
Mr. Jain.
sir. Please go ahead. Hello. Um, hello.
Um, Dhruv, can I raise a question?
Yes, yes, please, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Pranav, hi, this is Vikash from Chennai. If you remember, we had met about 5 years back in Chennai.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Hi, how are you?
All well, all well. Nice to see your growth over the years, yeah, and great to see you over Shark Tank and other places as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good to hear from you.
Great, great. So, Pranav, quick question now. It's great to see that Medulance has enough profitability, and also there is decent margin on all these deals that you strike. Any specific reason you have not looked towards venture debt?
Okay, so yeah, see, we always want to ensure that we have the right mix of equity and debt, I would say. And of course, till 2000, and you rightly pointed out that we had sufficient profitability, but obviously in the last few years, we are losing money as well due to our spend, I would say, on execution at the back of some of the learnings that we had last year. Today, we have a cash loss of about 25 lakh rupees, which was about a crore 4 months back. And we've reduced it, increased our efficiency, increased our margins, entered into long-term contracts. So we feel it's the right time to raise equity. Yes, we can back it up with venture debt as well. I would not say that we should only look at venture debt. We can back it up with venture debt, but right now is not the time to only look for debt, I would say, because of us wanting to work in we have higher growth plans which would need money, to be very honest. We want to ensure, being a B2B company, we are always very close to net profitability. However, just looking at venture debt might not help us to grow as fast as we want to, and that's the only reason, I would say.
Noted. Thank you.
Perfect. Ashok, sir. Hello. Sir, are you able to unmute yourself?
So,
I can, I
Dhruv,
can see.
someone has asked a
Yes.
question. Should I answer it?
Yes, just a minute. Sanjeev, sir, if you can want to speak. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
I
please go
just
ahead,
had
sir.
a quick question. Maybe it was answered in a different way. You don't have any debt on your books as of now?
So we do right now. So we had raised basically, I'll tell you. So when we raised a round, we had a fixed deposit of about 18 crores, okay, on which we had raised an overdraft facility of about 24 crores, okay, just to ensure that we can meet the bank guarantee requirements of the government. So for a particular contract that we service with the government, there was a bank guarantee need of about 4 crore rupees for 5 years. It was a 5-year contract, and that's the time we took this overdraft. Apart from this, we have about 155 ambulances today that we own, which are asset-backed loans by ICICI Bank. Today, I mean, like, that's asset-backed debt. The other one is the overdraft that we've taken.
So my question is on the revenue. I understand that the revenue is lost because you have discontinued with the contract on the government. But is the loss that they have written off on that
So
loans?
sorry, your
Or is
voice
it?
Sir,
was not clear.
Okay, I'll just repeat myself. Am I clear now?
Yes.
The question is that due to the discontinue uh, of Delhi contract that you have done, is there a loss that you have incurred in this financial year, FY 26?
so your voice is still breaking in between. Yeah,
So
it's
can
very
you
much
write down the
disorganized.
question? I'll be able to answer it.
Yes. In the meantime, Pranav, we have questions in the chat board.
Yes.
Nikhil ji is asking like, why has your company not renewed contracts at better price with the Delhi government, and what are the constraints there?
Sir, so we have. So that's the backdrop. The answer to the question is we have, and now I'll let you know why we gave up on the contract also. We are running a contract with the government of Delhi, but we gave up the other contract at the back of some of these constraints. So, we started working with the government of Delhi in 2021. The Disaster Management Act was in place. We had already aggregated a fleet of about 100 ambulances in the city. Medulance was the only company that could plug in 100 ambulances into the government system, which was not possible by anyone else at that time because no one could buy, fabricate ambulances. Everything was locked down. And we got an opportunity this way to work with the government by proving ourselves via a 6-month renewable contract year on year. Then we entered into a 2-year contract with the government of Delhi in 2023. This was a contract for 140 ambulances, okay, and for 2 years, which is the one we did not renew. And I'll tell you what was the problem with this particular contract was that, of course, we wanted to ensure that we can keep maintaining our eligibility. However, this contract had a capping on the amount we get paid per month. So, irrespective of the rides the ambulance does, we weren't getting incentivized. So, what this means is that even if my fuel component, the cost, I had only assumed it to 5,000 per ambulance per month. Even if it went up to about 30,000, I would not get paid extra. And this was at the back of the mat that we had done, which we'd seen for the last 3 years working with the government. And it changed suddenly. The government gave up a contract, and we obviously were not making money at a gross margin level as a part of this. So we gave up this contract and acquired a new tender for 5 years in August of 2024, where these constraints are not there. So we get incentivized and get paid extra per kilometer over and above the monthly average now. So this constraint, and then the contract will always be net profitable, not only at a gross margin level, but at a net level. So we were able to work around this, but we had to give up on that revenue because of this issue. And that's where I say our learnings will now allow us to ensure that that problem doesn't go up.
Perfect. So there is one question from Shubham Deep ji. He's asking like, can you please share the 3 years revenue?
Yes. So the last 3 years, sir, we did a revenue about 24 crores, then 54, and then 61 last year.
And what's the current run rate we are running with?
We are at about 4.5 crores a monthly run rate. Of course, the profitability has completely changed from last year. At last year, our gross margin level was about 15%. Right now, it's close to about 25% currently, and we are on track to be net profitable in the next 6 months.
Perfect. We have more questions. At what valuation Shark Tank judges have invested?
Sir, they had on the show invested at 100 crore valuation, but they came on board at 105 crore pre-money valuation with the other investors as well. So we waited to raise money from them till we raise a bigger round. So they participated at 105 crore pre-money valuation.
Okay. Ashok ji is asking, like, you raised 24 crores in April 2024. At what valuation and where was the money utilized?
Yes. So the money was utilized in our technology business. We did some hiring across our executive team as well. We also purchased assets for the government business because when we got a contract for 90 ambulances for 5 years, we don't usually purchase ambulances. But whenever we get long-term contracts for 3 to 5 years, we think it makes sense to buy the assets because we can cover the EMI over a 3-year period. Actually makes it more profitable on a per month basis at a gross margin level. And then, as I said, that a lot also money also went into servicing the loss in the government business last year at a gross margin level as well. So, which obviously was not planned for. I'll be honest about that. But, of course, we had raised sufficient money, so it allowed us to service that.
Understood. So, competitors.
We
Your voice is not clear, Dhruv.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, better now before.
Yes.
Than before.
So, who are your competitors?
So, if you want, I can run through that slide. So I'll tell you our competition is broken down into few segments. One is the new age companies in the emergency response space, which comprises of players like Red Health, Dial 4242, Hanuman. Out of this, Red Health, I would say currently out of the new age companies, which includes Medulance as well, is leading in terms of revenue and scale. Their focus is on the hospital business. Um, then on the government front, there are two big players that I want to speak about, which are GVK and Zikitsa. GVK is at a revenue about 1,200 crores today, is servicing state government contracts for the last 10 to 12 years or more. And it was actually more, it was the brainchild of Mr. Ramalinga Raju, who was the Satyam founder. And that's how public-private partnerships got born in India. And then Zikitsa Healthcare, and then there are a few other companies as well in the government space.
Perfect. So, is there any debt on the company as of now?
I answered that question in terms of the how the debt is. Or our
Perfect.
bad ambulance, yes.
Understood. And what's the exit strategy? Is there any planning for an IPO or something?
Absolutely, yeah. I would want to talk about this piece because people keep asking, and see, we want to ensure that we always make sufficient returns for our investors, and we have plans to be completely profitable in the next 2 to 3 years. By the end of this year, we'll be net profitable. By next year, we'll have a PAT of about 8 to 9%, and then 15 to 18% henceforth. In by 2000. 28, 29, 30, we'll be on track to reach, I would say, a revenue of close to about 291 crores, which would allow us to directly go for an IPO. And on the way, sir, I would like to say that the company is firstly profitable. So, we make money for everyone. And then also, uh, depending on, how patient the capital is, we are going to ensure that we provide valuable return opportunities, exit opportunities on the way to IPO as well for everyone who's on board, depending on the kind of returns that they are looking at, they could exit on the way. Yeah, the Blinkit question, I like to.
Yes. So the Blinkit owned by Zomato has started building ambulance. So what do you see like will there be any direct competitors to you as Dipender Goyal is already backing you? So
So we are already collaborating with them. I want to tell you. So they are looking at, we initially thought Blinkit is looking at the partnership very differently. So they've moved their entire piece into I would say not-for-profit called Swift Aid already. So it actually might be very different of how they are looking at scaling this service as to what we all of us thought initially. So about, I would say, 55% of the fleet, Blinkit fleet, completely is being managed by Medulance end to end today. So they are more of a partners. They do give us business, I would say. But their approach might be very different. I'm not sure they're looking at it from a pure business point of view. They're looking at it more from a CSR point of view today. So maybe their scale will come slower than all of us expected, and that's what I've seen till now.
got it. And I have one more question here. Like, why is the revenue being
Yes.
stagnant for this year and as well as your last year's financials, Delhi government contract, which was there, it contributes to around 60% of already sales. So it has been renewed. So
So
what's your take on that?
sir, so we gave up a revenue of 2.8 crores a month in February of this year. So my revenue monthly run rate had reached 7 crores as of December of last year. But again, I was to ensure that the long-term objective of the company is sorted, we had to give up on that contract at a gross margin level. So we took a strategic decision with our board, which includes Alchemy and Cult, that we should not look at this particular contract, if it's not making money, brings in more risk into the business. Of course, we've got the learnings, so we'll use it now in the next few years, but that's where the revenue hit. So we took a hit of 2.8 crores of recurring revenue month on month. So yes, the hospital business, the other businesses have increased, but of course, we'll take some time to ensure that we can cover for the 3 crore hit that we took in February.
Perfect. From the revenue perspective, the growth from 2022 to this last financial year it has been 50%. So from 40 crores, you've done 60 crores. So what's the reason about that, and what are the strategies you have implemented on that?
So absolutely, I would say that a lot of it also came at the back of our enterprise vertical, and I would say when we were running a bootstrap company, a lot of our resources were actually going into managing working capital. And obviously we were slightly hesitant to add more and more people into teams across verticals. And now that we've been able to do that, we've seen very quick progress on the enterprise and the hospital vertical. And I would say that's again is going to drive our revenue and focus, because from creating value also it is important. I'll tell you, the government business is always going to be used to contributing to the bottom line and making money. But the real value is going to come from the enterprise, hospital, and the training vertical in the next few years, which is going to differentiate a company like ours and also ensure that we have a competitive edge in the market as well. But the right mix is very important. Being a emergency response company anywhere in the world, you have to work with the government, because the government is always going to be the biggest procurer of ambulance services in any country.
Okay. Any more questions from the panel? So Pranav, I have one more question in the meantime.
Yes, yes.
So just wanted to understand on to what will be the growth trajectory after this fundraise, how we see the revenue growth, and what are the planning for the next fundraise and at what valuation?
Before that, Mr. Jain asked a question, 24 crores and then 26 crores. Sir, I'll tell you, so what used to happen was that um, even though the focus at that time was completely on profitability as well. Okay. And being a bootstrapped company, okay, there was sometimes we could not risk growth, because to meet the working capital needs, we did not want to raise enough debt, which we didn't at that time. But maybe had we done that and planned for a fundraise earlier, we would have been able to showcase growth, because the company was completely profitable. But a lot of money used to go in managing working capital requirements as well, and that's why there was no growth. But we did maintain net profitability in these 2 years as well.
I
And there was one more thing, sir. And there was one more thing. I actually, because sometimes the time has passed and I missed out. That's, sir, again, the year that we were close to acquiring the new government contract, right? So which again was not making enough money at a gross margin level, which I told you. We ran it for 2 years from 23 February and then did not renew it in FY 25, 20 February of this year.
Shall I go ahead with my questions,
Yes, please
Sanjeev?
go ahead, sir. Yeah, please go ahead.
I have a couple of them. Am I audible now? Is it better?
Yes, much better.
Yes, Mr. Sanjeev.
Okay. Just to start with, uh, Pranav, what I've understood from the business, the approach that you are taking, can we call it more of a B2B business that you have in your mind, or is it more of a B2C that you're looking forward to?
So we want to ensure that the ultimate impact goes to B2C, but we've realized that B2C karna is not that viable in this industry. So that is the reason we've chosen B2B. So I'll just explain that why ultimately the business has to go B2B, B2C. That's why the integration with enterprises, insurance, even integration with government is solely that responsibility, but more with insurance and corporates and hospitals is to ensure that that's B2B, B2C, because the ultimate impact goes to the consumer. However, pure B2C, sir, Karna, we did a lot of mathematics, right? It just doesn't work till now. I would say maybe when I have curated that kind of demand on the platform, and then I can start standardizing the supply in terms of having my own ambulances across metro cities. Maybe then we can launch a B2C subscription model. That also will happen through a subscription, right? Where Mr. Sanjeev subscribes to the Medulance product, say at a price of about 299, 399 rupees, right? And you get access to booking an ambulance ride within that year free of cost as a part of that subscription, because we'll be able to take advantage of the incidence rate, similarly to how insurance function. But a general on-demand B2C model, sir, वो mathematics ही prove करना इतना tough है, because it's not a recurring service. Imagine if Uber also today spends so much money to reach out to us, acquire us as a consumer, we give it back to them because we'll keep using the service. In our line of work, you either use an ambulance tomorrow or maybe not in the next few years for that matter, as I said before. And agar aapko chahiye bhi hai, it's not going to be a recurring use. So how will you recover the customer acquisition cost was the challenge we also faced
I
initially.
completely agree. I completely agree. That's why. So then I take this particular question to the next level. That how do you think that tier two and tier three? Because in tier one you definitely get the who's and who of HCLs and
Yes.
Flipkarts of the world. But
Yeah.
getting such clients in tier two and tier three without going to P2C directly, how do you think would you be able to expand to those cities and all?
Yes. So देखो enterprise के साथ काम करने से the good part is that you get access to tier 2, tier 3 cities already. So even though central contracts might happen at a central location, which is going to be a metro city, today their employees are omnipresent, right? Their employees, offices, industries are omnipresent, right? So you get access to work in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Even working with public sector unit companies, NTPC, Coal India, SECL, especially I'd like to take NTPC's example for whom we are managing 85 sites today. Okay, we are actually their plants or hospitals are in the remote areas of Jharkhand, Assam, UP, right?
Right.
Where we've been able to with obviously working with them are able to curate assets for their hospitals which are being used by the end consumer. So if you understand that if we were not partnered with the enterprise, we would not be able to enter these remote areas, right? Working and then creating actually the right kind of quality supply from our end, and then it's catering to the end audience. So we'll need to maybe increase our penetration on B2B to have that impact, and tier 2 tier 3 cities are going to be part of it. As you know, hospitals are expanding, right? So when hospitals expand, the hospital business is also going to allow us today. Narayana, Fortis, other hospitals also will enter into tier 2 tier 3 cities. The consolidation is going to happen in the healthcare space as well. So that will also give us an opportunity to enter into those markets via B2B.
Noted. No, Pranav, would it be wrong to say what you are trying to do in this ambulance sector is like the zomatization, if I use the word, of what Zomato or Swiggy did to the food industry on the delivery side. So what happened? If I just take an example and we step back to the less maybe 10, 15 years back, some
Mhm.
good restaurants may be having their own fleet and network of delivery in the maybe 2 to 3 kilometers of area of their operations. Now, what happened when Zomato came in? These persons either got onboarded to Zomato and they started delivering on behalf of Zomato, and the restaurants, they stopped having their own fleet for deliveries, right? So are you expecting a similar sort of thing happening to the hospitals tomorrow? Because as of now, when I see around me, there are certain hospitals which have their own ambulances. Like I'm in Kolkata, I see
Mhm.
Apollo. Then I also met, as you mentioned, one this I remember the number 1097 for GVK. They still have it in my mind. So that guy told me that it is, if I'm not wrong, it's more of, is it an NGO kind of a stuff that they are doing?
No, no, sir. They are also representing the government. GVK is also
Okay.
representing the government. So that number, every state sometimes has their own number. One is for ambulance services, which is 102, 108. Okay. And then there are helplines for female assistance, maternity, MMUs. So 1097 might be one of the other helplines, but a four-digit number today, apart from Fortis, and this one Apollo is not being used, and one more company that no one is using it on the private side, only the government.
Right. So would you want to talk about
Yeah, yeah,
more on that?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, your question, sir. I would say not really. I'll tell you, the space that we are in is very different because you
Mhm.
can't even compare. There's no eye to eye comparison. The delivery space functions very differently. The dynamics are very different. Today in that particular space, I would say Zomato today has B2B clients, but the orders coming from the huge B2C market. Okay, they want to ensure that people get used to that demand. Then they are fine with spending that kind of customer acquisition costs, focusing on delivery. It's very challenging in an industry where sir, time is so much more relevant today. Any small issue that happens in the ambulance space can actually, you have to be extra careful in managing such services. So I would say what we are trying to do is the ultimate hospitals are going to be where the patients will go. We are just ensuring that the pre-hospital care layer is being managed by us. And why we want to do that is because hospitals focusing so much on the clinical aspect, managing their own PNL at times, do not get to focus on the ambulance vertical, which actually contributes to picking up patients and actually contributes to increasing their revenue. But because their focus is on a bigger chunk, right, they do not actually focus on the most important emergency, emergency response plan. And that's what's happened. Even if you see hospitals like Fortis, Apollo, Medanta, they don't talk about that they have the best gastroenterologist or the best cardio. They always market themselves with their emergency response or the ambulance service. You would have seen that with Max as well. All their marketing activities are around ambulance services. Yet their focus is not that much into this service. So I would say a key reliable player like us would allow us to do that. I would say very early days to maybe compare us with, even that thought process of Zomato or Swiggy. Right now, I would say the industry is yet to evolve. More awareness needs to come in. Still very early days in terms of, the kind of revenues even the new age companies are doing. So maybe we can have this conversation in the next few years as to how the penetration happens. But I would say no, right now the thought process is not to do that at all. It's to find more curated solutions for every hospital, for every enterprise. And that's why we need to act as emergency response consultants today, I would say, because people are not used to taking up this service. Even when we go to enterprise, you have to convince them and increase awareness of why it's important. So maybe few years later, this could be spoken like that, but I would say very early days right now.
Uh, I got a point. I would like summarize it in saying that this is going to mature, just like we are looking at the health insurance sector maturing in in the country right now.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
on the you call it Medu Edge, I think. I would
Yes.
want to understand a bit on the edge side, the hospital side. You mentioned that you want to build up your own hospitals, or did you say it's just a tie-up that you want to
No, no,
do?
sir. That path is going to happen. Where we not going to look at, but MediH is not that. Just MediH is our partnerships with the hospitals where we manage emergency response on behalf of them, and that's what the vertical is about. So hospital outsources their ambulances to you, and also manage allows you to manage inbound, outbound revenue, air ambulance cases, any other case that happens within the hospital, which can be catered by an ambulance exclusively by Medulance. That's what MediH is about.
Okay. Have you guys ever thought about diagnostic center distribution network kind of thing? Maybe it's very aligned to what you're doing already, and those diagnostic centers can have in the public one that you mentioned that there is an ERS system stations kind of stuff in the corporates like you mentioned in for HCL, and you also mentioned it for SECL, sorry, Flipkart, Shriram, Praj, right? So, would you be able to utilize such stations out in the public area as a diagnostic center as well as the ERS systems? And I will, I'm sorry, just to add up, I believe that there is something called My Doctor or My MD based in US on similar lines, which are providing these ambulance services along with ERS or emergency support, which exactly what an hospital's emergency room does.
Yes, sir. So, on the diagnostic front, see, as a part of the MediAlert product, our aim is to ensure that what allows us to even get people to subscribe to it is our emergency response service, because today not many people are providing this. Okay, very less players are there in the industry, so that's what allows us to enter into an insurance or a corporate today, like a Morgan Stanley or a JP Morgan or an HCL for that matter, to get access to their audience. Once we have the subscriber base, we can start on the contrary, provide these value-added services like diagnostics, faster hospitalization, doctor on call, other services, because we'll have the subscribers on the platform. Yes, strategic partnerships is something we look at. So we are working with someone like Tata 1mg, MediBuddy today already as strategic hubs, because we want to become the backbone of emergency healthcare. If something allows us to capture the audience faster, it is completely fine by us. So, I've taken what you're saying. I agree. Maybe we can look at that of how that will work, but we are always fine with strategic partnerships, because our end goal is to become the backbone. Wherever the request comes from, it should land to us making a difference. And as long as that happens, it's completely fine, even if we are at the back step of a company like Tata 1mg providing emergency services.
One last question from my side, Bak. The rest, I have some data related questions which I will go back to Dhruv. I'm sorry, I'm pushing the entire
We
discussion.
can actually, if you want, you can connect with me offline and via Dhruv, and we can answer all your questions. That's absolutely fine by me.
All right. The last one, like on the page 11, you mentioned about the corporate tie-ups on the hospital side. You and in the initial slides, you mentioned about Fortis as a tie-up. So is it no more a tie-up kind of a stuff for you?
So,
Because it
sir,
was not.
Fortis, I'll tell you initially, hospitals, what they used to do was they used to partner with you. This was back in the day on an on-demand basis. They used to say that we'll send you requests and then you manage ambulance services on for us. That's how we used to generate those B2C requests. Over a period of time, the partnerships have evolved. Right now, we want to manage ambulance services for the hospital, right? And even hospitals have increased their awareness to do that. What started with hospitals just giving us requests on an on-demand basis. Today, they are ready to give Medulance access to their own ambulances and put in more assets for on behalf of the hospital. So you are the lifeline of emergency response on behalf of hospitals like Medanta, Fortis, Manipal. Fortis, we are not managing currently. We are managing, I'll tell you, Artemis, Medanta, Manipal Hospital, Saroj Hospitals, Narayana, and Artemis, and Kim's Hospital in Thane in Mumbai currently.
Anyone in Kolkata right now?
So Manipal hospitals.
Manipal hospitals.
Yes.
Okay.
And we are
That's
talking to CK Birla as well currently. So, as in when that happens.
got it. That's it for the moment.
Perfect. So, Mr. Vikash had asked
I'll
one
definitely get in
question.
touch with you. Okay, and I'll share the details. We have follow-up questions here. Like, do you have any hospitals as a strategic investors, or are they on the cap table? If yes, how much
So,
they own?
Vikash, very interesting. But I'll tell you right now, maybe is not the right time to do that for us because we want to partner with many hospitals. Imagine getting someone, maybe that could be a strategic exit for a company like us in the future, or maybe when the company evolves into a much bigger play. Right now, if we get access to a strategic investor from a hospital, we might have to, we don't want other hospitals to stop working with us. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it can happen. A hospital like Medanta might not want to work with a company which has a huge stake by the Apollo guys. So it's possible. Maybe that we need to be careful on that line. That's one thing I can think of currently. And yeah.
So yes, I the question which I had, yes, the utilization of the fund which we are looking up, whatever the funds you are raising of 3.5 million, how that will be utilized, how we see onto the revenue growth, and what are the plan for the next fundraise, and what's the plan for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll tell you how the current fundraise is going to help us. We are actually going to be closing this by the end of Q3 of this quarter. Okay. So currently which will allow us to close the last quarter at a high and completely become not net profitable in Q4. We are going to be ensuring that at the back of a lot of hospital partnerships, already we have such a big order book that I'd already shared with Biz Data as well, and you guys will have access to it, which is allows us to access about 1.5 crores of monthly run rate till Q4, and also needs money for execution as well, right? So that's going to be important by next year, which is 26. 27, right? We are going to be ensuring that our revenue reaches close to about 100 crores, and by that time we'll be at a net profitability of about 10%. I'll give you a breakdown of how that's going to happen. So you have a 2-year plan. We are going to be adding pushing more focus on the enterprise MeduEdge and the MeduAlert business. In total, these are going to be contributing close to, I would say, more than about 600 sites in total amongst them. And then, of course, we are going to go a little slow on the government vertical. The 1.8 crore contract with the government of Delhi is going to continue month on month till the next 5 years. So that revenue is assured for us. As in when the right government opportunity comes, we will be able to capture that. However, till that time, we are going to increase our focus on the Medu ERS, Medu H and Medu Clinic business, which is going to require more and more people in different cities. We've laid the foundation. As I said, you can see some of the clients that we've closed already allows us to now take our service faster to more and more entities, and on track to reach then a revenue of close to, I would say, about 133, 135 crores by 27-28.
Okay, perfect. And how do we see the next fundraise and
Yes,
about
so
that?
we already had plans to do it earlier. Things changed. So by 27, 28, we already have outlined our Series B investors. I'll be very honest. There are people we've already spoken to, and we are going to be raising close to about 8 to 10 million in that round. And these are going to be a few social impact investors out of America as well who are going to invest. Hence, our focus on quality and compliance has to be top notch till then as well. And I would say right now for the existing investors, the 150 crore pre-money valuation uh, uh, should feel like should feel like a steal because we already closed last round at 105, which takes us to 135 crore post money valuation because we raised about 25 crores. We've already have 7 crores as a part of this round coming into the bank already. And we already have outlined our lead investor. We've got term sheets from two more people. The details are already with BizData. I'm talking about hard commitments. So you guys can already look at already doubling your money, being in the money by the time we raise our next round, and being in the money by the end of this year already.
So,
Questions?
Dhruv, just one second, okay? There was one question which was missed by Mr. Ashok, sir. He's asking, you raised 24 crores in April 24. At what valuation? Where you used that money? So, he was asking that question. And then there is a part question which he has asked again about revenue, which is there.
Yeah. Mr. Jain, I'll answer your question. I'd actually answered that because
Yes.
I said that we did not. I don't know. I'm sorry if it got missed out, but I tried to answer that question. That we did. You are absolutely right that you raised 24 crores in April. Even then, your revenue not increase in FY25 because it was a lot to do with the problems we faced with one of the government contracts. And I said that it was not making money at a gross margin level. We had to service that as well via the fundraise. A lot of fundraise which actually had to go into growth actually went into servicing the losses of the government contract as well. And that's the reason that this happened. And yeah,
So, at what valuation did you raise that 24 crores?
105 crores pre-money.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Like, we have one question from Babuji. He's asking like how do you ensure about the standards of the services being provided in the different cities are same and they are compliant?
Uh, Dhruv, could you say that again?
I'm saying like we have a question from Rahul Ji. He is asking like the services which we are providing into different cities, how we are ensuring that it's being standard and it's being very much under
Yeah,
the
yeah.
authenticate way.
Sir, see, all the services where we are managing a subscription-based service, the ambulances, drivers, paramedics are completely under our control. Okay, so 95% of the revenue comes from subscription-based services where Medulance holds the quality in our own hands. We are not reliant on anyone else to do that for 95% of our revenue. For 5% of the revenue, we have to rely on aggregators currently till we have enough demand, right? Can't start putting in assets in other cities as well. So once we have that, we'll start controlling that kind of supply as well. But till then, about 95% of the revenue, which comes from subscription, enterprise, hospitals, clinics, Medulance directly manages the services for our clients end to end. So we have the quality in our control, hence the B2B business.
Okay. So yes, we'll have a couple of questions. If you have, if anyone from the panel has any question, you can put it.
Dhruv, we are losing your voice. I guess what Dhruv is trying to say is, guys, if you have any questions, please pin it into the chat box, or you can alternatively raise your hands. We have last couple of minutes to ask questions. We are already above the time limit. However, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Directly we'll unmute you and you can ask your questions. If there isn't any, then we would be closing the call.
Pranav, Sanjeev here again.
How do you control the pilferages, the typical problem of transportation business? So if I come from a typical transportation like trucks and all, Mahindra, Tata, they have all set up a lot of systems which calculate this consumption of fuel, and then there
Yes.
are certain. Yep, tell go ahead, please.
Sir, we've faced a lot of these issues in the initial few years. That's why we've developed our own tech, which goes into ops. Fuel leakage, oxygen leakages, something we've all faced during COVID. I think COVID taught us to do that. The value of all these things became more than gold at that time. And, we've started realizing how to take care of this from an audit, right from scratch from the audit. It happens via tablet today, right from dispatching of the ambulances to monitoring fuel. We've taken systems from Tata. We only use Tata Winger and Force Tempo Traveler as a part of our ambulance fleet, which is the top two ambulances authorized by the government. We use a technology from them to monitor fuel consumption, especially in the government business where the ambulances do about 6.5 to 7 rides per ambulance. I would still say that we are not 100% yet. There are still leakages that happen across the board, but we have controlled, we have started putting in systems, I would say, in operations using tech, which is not adding to revenue, only to control such things on the quality front, on the leakage front.
Thanks.
Pranav, we have one more question. Like, what is the cost per ambulance dispatch versus the revenue generated per trip?
Sir, again, B2C is a very small focus for us. And the cost, there's a 10 to 20% margin on each request that we do. The revenue per trip actually depends on the kind of ambulance, the number of kilometers. There is a set rate card for it. It can start from somewhere between 2,000 rupees for a BLS ambulance within 10 kilometers, goes up to about 5,500 within 10 kilometers for a ACLS ambulance with a doctor. And we make a 10 to 15 to 20% margin on each trip. Sometimes can be lower in tier 2, tier 3 cities because our aim is execution and B2C is not our prime focus. So we always want to ensure we don't want to make that much money via the B2C on-demand business. Currently is more focused on execution rather than profiteering. Namita, sir, I would say they've been good supports, but like being very honest, I would say it's about the entrepreneur and the team, how much advantage they can take of their existing investors. And I would say Namita and Aman combined own about Aman invested 66 lakhs. Namita invested a similar amount in our company. It also depends on the kind of equity you hold. I'm sure they spend more time with companies where they hold higher amount of equity, right? And we already have other investors. So to answer that, I would say no, they haven't taken exit. I would say Alchemy and Growth Capital, which is our lead investor, has been the most involved till now. So I also see that it's a product of course, the investments and the equity that you own in the company. That's been my learning.
Also, like Pranav, like if you can just give the bifurcation between the ambulances you manage versus the own, so that that will be better.
Yeah, it's a simple. Yeah, we own about 155 ambulances. We've leased out about 60, and there is a financial lease on about 57 ambulances currently.
Sure. And what's the total number of the ambulances we've managed as an aggregator?
About 10,000.
On about 10. Perfect, perfect. So yes, any more questions from the panel? I think so, no. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining on this lovely Saturday afternoon. And we'll be in touch. If you have any queries, definitely just you can connect with us, with the investment managers, and we'll try to resolve all your queries and give you all the feedbacks or the data being required. And yes, thank you once again, Pranav, and to all the investors for joining this call. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Pranav.
If there-
Thank you.
Yeah.